Hi guys and girls, I'm Obsidian Ant and welcome back to X4 Foundations. Now Egosoft recently released a bunch of new information regarding the next few months of X4 and the upcoming updates. This includes the next two content patches, patch 1.5 and patch 2.0. Before we get to that though, let's take a look at more recent events. To start with then, patch 1.32. Egosoft have been great with releasing fixes to the game, and these updates have came out very quickly. But one very notable issue was occurring later on in the game and caused the economy to actually come to a standstill. This was to do with wars within the game coming to a stop or not actually occurring, and without wars the economy would not work. The economy is actually dependent on wars, so without that there was no demand for resources. Patch 1.32 fixes this, and it also works retroactively with existing saves. So if you've got a game save with an economy that's not working, patch 1.32, which was actually released a few days ago, will actually fix that issue. So on to the next updates then. Patch 1.5 is coming before Christmas, so very soon. Patch 2.0 is coming early next year, either in January or possibly in February. Now Egosoft weren't particularly clear as to which content is coming with which update, but nonetheless there is a whole bunch of changes and additional content coming. So missions are something that are quite plentiful within X4, at least once you get used to locating them. However, with a new save and for new players, they can sometimes be a bit of a problem to actually locate. So the way it works right now is that missions are offered directly by stations. You can see these as small yellow icons hovering over a station on the sector map, or alternatively you can find missions by going to the mission offers menu whilst near a station. Another way to find missions is to use the local scan mode on your HUD around stations, and on occasion this can unlock missions for you if you find the right thing. Now people have been asking why NPCs inside stations cannot directly offer missions. Egosoft have taken this suggestion on board, and it will be a feature in patch 1.5. To be clear, NPCs won't directly be able to offer you missions. Instead, they will provide you with directions on how to find a mission. This will work in the same way as it currently does when you ask them for directions towards a faction or a station. And it will also be dependent upon your reputation with that particular NPC. So overall, this should make obtaining missions a much smoother process. Modding has always been a massive thing with the X series. Modders have done all sorts of wonderful things with the games, and Egosoft have been great at supporting this, and they continue to plan on doing this with X4. The idea then is to provide full Steam Workshop integration, and Egosoft will soon be releasing full documentation to help with modding support. No word yet as on when this will happen precisely. Maybe patch 1.5 or it may be patch 2. But either way, before too much longer, we should soon see some very good stuff being released from the game by the community. Now, player-owned stations are one of the mid-game to end-game goals within X4 Foundations, and there are currently a good variety of them to actually build and control. However, shipyards are not currently one of those stations that players are able to build. This will change with a future update. Currently, Egosoft are unsure whether this will be part of patch 1.5 or patch 2.0, although it seems most likely to arrive with patch 2. But the aim will be to allow players to build fully functioning shipyards. These are very expensive projects to undertake. In fact, they are top-tier stations. Shipyards allow for the construction of large and extra-large vessels. In addition to being very expensive, they would also be intensely resource-hungry. A subject that Egosoft were keen to address was the scale of the X4 universe, and it's actually a very interesting subject. Looking at the game's sector map shows us a bunch of hexagons. Each hexagon is a sector of space, of which there are around 59. Now it's very easy to look at these sectors and assume that each of them are the same size. The thing is that there's a nice feature to how these hexagonal sectors actually function. When in these sectors, the most apparent thing is the borders. Now, these borders do not represent the actual edges of the sector. They are instead merely a representation of how one sector connects to another. Essentially, what this means is that it's possible to explore beyond these figurative borders. As your ship travels beyond the hexagonal edges, the sector map will rescale itself to account for the new space that you have discovered. In fact, it's possible to travel many hundreds of kilometers from the center point of any sector, and there are ships, stations and other things that can be discovered further out into space. So this really is a very good thing to be aware of, because it means the size of the game's galaxy is actually far larger than may first be apparent. Now, those of you familiar with the X series will be well aware of Betty, the game's in-ship voice AI. So Betty will be becoming more apparent with patch 1.5 as she steps a little bit more into the foreground. This will include things such as reading the identity of your currently selected target. Now, Betty actually has a very distinctive voice and has been a big thing for the X games over the years. Now, an additional control method is also being added to X4, and this will be direct mouse steering. Currently, there are two modes of mouse control, but both of them move the ship towards the target reticule or cursor. Direct mouse control steering is exactly how it sounds. The ship moves in direct relation to mouse movement. This will be coming in either patch 1.5 or patch 2.0. Direct mouse steering will also allow for an inverted Y-axis for those people who actually want that. So that brings us to the end of this video. A nice few updates coming over the next few months to X4. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.